In the Bhagavad Gita, in the 2nd chapter, Krishna instructs Arjuna My dear Arjuna, the Vedas are mostly concerned with this material world, the three modes: goodness, passion, ignorance. Arjuna, I advise you to transcend these modes. So when Krishna is speaking in this way, he's referring to the 4 Vedas. Originally there was one Veda, but at the beginning of Kali Yuga, Sri Vyasadeva took that one Veda, he edited it and broke it into 4 different Vedas. He did this to help the people of Kali Yuga, because the people in Kali Yuga, manda samanda matayo manda bhagyahi upadrata, the people of Kali Yuga are naturally born lazy, especially when it comes to spiritual things. They're unfortunate because they commit sinful activities out of ignorance. They're misguided by rascal leaders. They're easily cheated. And the very nature of this age of Kali is that everybody's mind is always disturbed. People are looking for peace and tranquility. But everywhere they go, they find just the opposite. So since people in Kali Yuga have these disadvantages, Vyasadeva very compassionately took the Vedas, one Veda, and broke it out into 4 divisions. Then he compiled 108 Upanishads, because Upanishads deal with transcendence. Transcendence means that which is beyond the scope of the material senses. The material scientists will not be able to prove the existence of God or the soul by means of their scientific instruments, because transcendence is adhoksaja. Adhoksaja refers to God who is beyond the range of the senses. The only way God is understood is when He reveals, and the specific process by which He agrees to reveal Himself is known as bhakti. This is the process that Krishna Himself recommends in the Bhagavad Gita. 3 times Krishna says, if you want to see me, bhakti. If you want to know me, bhakti. If you want to come to me, bhakti. He says this in chapter 8, at the end of chapter 11, and towards the end of chapter 18. So Krishna's statement is consistent. It is only by bhakti yoga that God, adhoksaja, is revealed. He cannot be revealed by any material process. It has to be a spiritual process. So Krishna told Arjuna, I want you to become transcendental. I want you to come off the material platform. At the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna was on the material platform. Karapanya dosho pahatta swabhava. He was lamenting. He was objecting to performing his duty. He was giving so many excuses and arguments why he did not want to fight the battle. So in chapter 2, when Krishna is beginning his instructions to Arjuna, this verse appears. Nistraigunyo Bhavarjuna, my dear Arjuna, come off the material platform. Come to the transcendental platform. So, the Upanishads explain transcendence, that which is beyond the scope of material mind and senses. I have begun a series of lectures now on the Ishopanishad. This will be my third lecture. I gave in Los Angeles 2 weeks ago. Last week, I gave in Laguna Beach. And now here today, I'm going for the third class. So I will chant the mantra, and then I will explain. Koravanne deha karmani jajivishach chatang sama evang tvai nanyate tosti nakarma lipyate nare. Here is the meaning. One may aspire to live for hundreds of years if he or she continuously goes on working in that way. For that sort of work will not bind one to the law of karma. There is no alternative to this way for man. Before we go any further, I omitted the chanting of the 12-syllable mantra. So if you could please repeat after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So this is the second verse, and it referred to something which was mentioned in the first verse, because it says, if you go on working in that way. So since you did not hear my last class last week, I will now give that first verse so you have a reference. In the invocation, there were 2 previous verses. In the invocation, we heard about Om and the complete understanding of Om. A-U-M, 3 transcendental letters, becomes Om. So A stands for Krishna. The letter U stands for Srimati Radharani. And the letter M stands for the living entities. Come. May Krishna bless you. Now go sit. A-U-M. This is the absolute truth. Krishna, his internal spiritual potency, and the living entities. This is the meaning of Om. And in that invocation, the word Purnam was used. Complete. Perfect. There is no mistake when it comes to the absolute truth. It's perfect and complete. Then in the first actual verse, this is what is stated. Everything animate and inanimate that is within this cosmic manifestation is controlled and owned by God. So nothing belongs to anyone According to this, everything in the universe belongs to God. Why? Because it originated from Him. It's His property. Just as you have a house, a car, or a family, that is yours. I cannot come and take your property. That's criminal, because it is your property. So from a transcendentalist point of view, he sees or she sees everything does not belong to me, it belongs to God. That is called transcendental vision. Everything, my body, everything I see is the property of God. This intimates spiritual communism, that everything belongs to God. And then the verse continued, therefore one should accept only those things necessary which are given as one's quota, and one should not accept other things, knowing well to whom they belong. Now this line, set aside as one's quota, that quota is dictated by one's previous karma. Every one of us has a different quota. That quota was earned due to the past pious and impious activities of our previous lives. Therefore, every one of us has a unique life or existential position. We each have a certain amount of material enjoyment. It's not all the same. Every one of us can only make or earn so much wealth in this life, because it's all stipulated by the past karma. And as we are acting in this life, we are guaranteeing the next quota in the next life. It all depends on the balance between pious and sinful activities. Somebody who acts piously, religiously, they will enjoy nicely in the next life. And those who act sinfully, they have to suffer in the next life. This explains what all other religions cannot explain. Unless a religion has this concept of karma and past life, they have no explanation why a particular child is born with a deadly disease, why somebody is born in a very hellish condition. We know from seeing so many things, people are being born in very harsh conditions of life. This explains why there is suffering in this world. It's not that God is indiscriminate and picks and chooses who should be happy, who should suffer. No. I and you, we create our own good or bad fortune by the decisions, by the choices we made in the past. And the choices we're making at present is determining the next life. Some people are confused about their destiny or fate. You should not be confused. You and me, we are the architects of our own misfortune or good fortune. This is why we should study the Vedic scriptures. As Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, in the 16th chapter, at the end, he says, therefore, Arjuna, you should know what is to be done and what is not to be done by the regulations of the scriptures. Otherwise, we are acting blindly. We're acting in ignorance. I may be thinking that what I'm doing is pious or good. Just like Arjuna. At the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna was thinking, it's good that I not fight this battle. He was thinking that was pious. But Krishna said, no, you're wrong. What's correct for you, what's pious for you, is to fight this war. Another example, Karna. When Krishna took Karna on a chariot just before the war, Karna had just heard from his mother, Kunti, that how he was her son. All his life, he was thinking that he was the son of a chariot maker. But he didn't understand that his real mother, she now revealed herself to him. Kunti revealed, you're my son. You were born before my other 5 sons. Your father is Suryadev, the sun god. This was a big shock for Karna. So, Krishna took Karna on a chariot, and they drove for some time. And Krishna said to Krishna said to Karna, so now you know, because Krishna knew everything. He's God. He's Paramatma. He knows everything. So he said to Karna, Karna, you should now join your brothers. You should leave the Kauravas and you should join sides with the Pandavas, your actual brothers. And they will, even Yudhishthira will accept you as the leader of the family. You will be the head. They will all, and Krishna said, I also will follow you. Imagine that. If Krishna came to you tomorrow and said, I will follow your lead, would you accept? I would. If Krishna came to me tomorrow and said, I will follow, I'll take Krishna any day of the week. And then Krishna said, Karna, if you agree to fight on behalf of the Pandavas, not only will they follow you, I follow you. Draupadi will also accept you as husband. She was already accepting all 5 Pandavas. Krishna said, she will also accept you. But what did Karna say? No. I would rather follow Duryodhana. He thought that was pious. He thought that was the right thing to do. He didn't accept Krishna's proposal. So that's another example. I may think I'm doing the right thing when in actuality it's not. Because as we all know, when the battle was fought, the 5 Pandavas came out successful. All the Kauravas, all 100 sons, and Karna finished. But Yudhishthira and his brothers, they ruled the world. So therefore Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, you should know what is to be done and what is not to be done by following the scriptures. So, in today's verse where it says, one should go working in that way, meaning in this concept of spiritual communism, that everything belongs to God. That's spiritual communism. If everything belongs to God, naturally it is to be concluded that all of us are brothers and sisters. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Aham bija pita. He uses the word pita. I am your father. Krishna says, chapter 14, I am the seed-giving father. Just like the man plants the seed, the semen, into the womb of the mother, the child takes birth. The father is the seed-giving. The woman cannot produce independently. There has to be cooperation between man and woman. The man cannot create independently, neither can the woman. Both have to come together, as you have done. Right? So Krishna is saying, I am the seed-giving father of all species, not just humans. All species of life, 8,400,000 species of life. Krishna says, I am the seed-giving father. And then later on in chapter 15, what does Krishna say? Mama eva angsha. You, all of us, Mama, Krishna says, you're mine. Eva angsha. You're my part and parcel. Your child is part and parcel of you. That is established fact. As long as you live, that child cannot be anything other than your part and parcel. Krishna claims all of us, angsha. Angsha means part and parcel. So today's verse, Kuravanne deha karmani jajive chatang sama evang twainan yate tosti nakarma lipyate nare. So if one works in the concept that I am part of God's family by nature, I'm part of God's family, He is the seed-giving Father, I am His angsha, part and parcel, then one can aspire to live as long as one likes. Why? Because that will not bind one. In the 3rd chapter of Bhagavad Gita, similar concept is given by Krishna. Krishna says to Arjuna, in the human form of life, one has to act in sacrifice. One has to do things which are pleasing to God. There are 2 ways of acting. One can act whimsically, independently, selfishly. That is how the non-transcendentalist lives. I live to satisfy my senses. That is how a non-transcendentalist lives. He lives or she lives simply for satisfaction of the body and the senses and the mind. And in the 3rd chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, such a person lives in vain. They have wasted the human form of life. Whereas Krishna recommends that one should act for the satisfaction of God. That is what is mentioned. One should do things that are pleasing to God. Again, how will I know what those things are? You have to read such books as Bhagavad Gita. In fact, Bhagavad Gita is sufficient. There are 4 Vedas, 108 Upanishads, 18 Puranas, Mahabharata, Ramayana, Vedanta Sutra, Srimad Bhagavatam. There are thousands and thousands and thousands of shlokas. But if you read just one book, Bhagavad Gita, you will get the essence of all the Vedic knowledge. That one book, Bhagavad Gita, is the essence of all Vedic knowledge. By reading one book, you'll know what is to be done and what is not to be done. For that sort of work will not bind one to the law of karma. In the Bhagavad Gita, there are three kinds of karma. Karma, vikarma, akarma. So karma means pious activities on the material platform, which as its fruit one enjoys in the material world. That is the definition in this context of karma. Activities prescribed by the scriptures, but they're material activities, and the result or the fruit is material happiness. Then we have vikarma, sinful activities. Activities which violate the laws of God or the laws of nature. Activities which are against the stipulations of the scriptures. Those activities produce the fruit of suffering. So it's not a mystery why I suffer in this life. The only conclusion has to be I committed some violation of the laws of God, the laws of nature, either in the past or at present. That is why I'm suffering. I have nobody to blame. It's not this person's fault. It's not God's fault. I broke the law. Just as here in California, you need a car. Without a car, you're not going to be successful in California. I'm originally from New York, where they have subways, mass transit. You can live without a car, but not in California. Everything is like I have to drive 40, 50 miles to come here. So, when you get that driver's license, you did not get that license without passing an examination, a written examination, and an actual driver's test. Because driving a car is a heavy responsibility. Because it's not just you. How you drive can affect the lives of so many other people. So it's a heavy responsibility to drive an automobile. And I have seen it. The driver's manual, the actual book, is this thick. How many laws there are in driving a vehicle. And as a driver, if I violate one of the driving laws, I'm liable to get some kind of ticket, infraction, depending on the severity of the offense. So having a human form of life is just like driving a car. In fact, at the end of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna uses that very example. Yantra rudhani mayaya. Your body is a yantra, a machine, and you, the soul, are situated on that machine. That's exactly how Krishna explains in chapter 18 of Bhagavad Gita. Yantra rudhani mayaya. You are seated on a machine made of material energy because you are soul. So just think about it. There are so many traffic laws, and if we are detected, we have to pay the fine. So in the same way, there are so many laws governing human life. And if we commit a sinful or violation, we'll have to pay the fine. So this verse says there is no alternative to this way for man. The law of karma is not a Hindu thing. There's another misconception. Because you'll hear people say, oh, that's your religion. I don't believe in that. I'm sorry. Death comes to the theist and the atheist, to the Muslim and the Christian. The law of karma applies to everyone, Jew, Muslim, Hindu, Christian, atheist. Nobody escapes the law of karma. Here's another example I often give. Before coming to this philosophy, I was born in a meat-eating family. For the first 23 years of my life, I ate meat. Then at the age of 23, I came in contact with my spiritual master, and from that point forward, from July 15th, 1973 to present, I live by a certain code. No meat eating, no illicit sex, no intoxication, no gambling. The 4 pillars of sinful life. And then on top of that, I have to study the Vedic scriptures and chant the holy name of God daily. I've been doing that every day since July 15th, 1973. So, the human form of life bears with it heavy, heavy responsibilities. And as I work in this world, I am creating my future for myself. So, there is no alternative. So, for instance, my father, he passed away some years ago. The way he was raised, there was no sin in his religion. There was no sin for him in eating meat. Because in his religion, the Catholic religion, they don't consider eating meat sinful. But then, when he turned 50, 60 years old, he suffered a series of heart attacks. And guess what? What was his doctor? His doctor was a Sadarji. You know what I'm saying? What was the first thing the doctor told my father? No more meat. Because you have eaten so much meat, your arteries are clogged. So after the first heart attack, the Sikh doctor told my father, no more meat. And I said, see, Pop, I've been telling you for how many years? Because I would see my father every year. And of course, we would have arguments on religion and philosophy. But then he didn't listen to the doctor. He continued. Then he got his second heart attack. And he had a third one. He did not give up. So, what I would explain to him was, yes, your religion allows you to eat meat, but the law of karma doesn't excuse you for the reaction which comes from eating meat, namely heart attack. You follow my logic? His religion said it was okay, but the law of karma is not Hindu, Christian, Jew, Muslim. The law of karma is the law of nature, the law of God. You may believe or not believe. That's okay. It still acts. So that's why this verse says, Na karma lipyate nare. There is no alternative to this way for man. See, this is why many over the years, people have asked me, you are not born Hindu. Why are you doing this? And this is graphic example. I explained to him, I'm not following Hindu religion. I'm following the absolute truth. You may call it Hindu, that's okay. I'm not following Hindu. I am following the truth. Another example. God is one. How many sun planets do you see in the sky? One sun. But that one sun planet is appreciated differently depending where you are in the world. For instance, just yesterday, there's a place in South America I go to every year called Santiago, Chile. So because it's South America, when we have summer, they have winter. So right now, it's July, it's in the middle of winter. For the first time in so long, they have snow. They've never had snow on the ground. Up in the mountains, yes. Because it's winter. It's the same sun, but depending where you're on the planet, right now, here we are in California, the sun has been pretty hot, has it not? And you know in India, right now, how hot is India? Delhi, right? 120 something, right? It's very hot. I've been to India. I know what it's like certain times of the year. So it's the same sun, but depending on your position, you appreciate the sun differently. Same way. There are so many religions describing or trying to understand God, but it's dependent on their particular angle of vision. So I follow this philosophy, the philosophy of Bhagavad Gita, because I have found it to be the most complete and scientific explanation of the absolute truth. I did not come to this blindly. And if somebody could present to me something better, I would accept it. But the problem is, so far, nobody has been able to present to me a better philosophy. And nobody can present to me better food. Dal, rice, chapati, sabji, pakora, paneer, gulab jamun. This is real food. That's another reason I began this way of life. Because of the food, as you can see. So I am following a philosophy which espouses the absolute truth. Truth that is there in the past, at present, and will continue to be true. Our scientists, they tend to change. One day Pluto is a planet, then the next day, no, Pluto is not a planet. But this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, transcendental knowledge, has not changed. The concepts of Bhagavad Gita were true in the past, they're true now, and they'll be true forever. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Can you sing?